I have more profit, better clients, and more clarity of what I'm doing. So here's the problem. Actually, coming up with a business name first is sometimes the biggest problem. Another big problem that people have is they're overthinking most of it. They're thinking about the wrong things. We live in a world where the very first thing we're worried about is social media. Every day, all day, in our sleep, we're worried about social media. Web design, I'm obviously a photographer. I dove into video. We were really trying to run this like marketing agency. And as soon as we started putting things out there as a marketing agency, we were getting all of these clients who were happy to throw us their money, but they didn't understand what their problems were. And they were throwing money at social media management. They were throwing money at the things that didn't matter because they couldn't answer 5 simple questions about their brand.
This is the good life. Oh, this is the good life.
Have you ever wondered why some of your marketing or social media content just isn't working right? Or no matter how many times you post or how much money you throw at a problem, it doesn't seem to solve the issue. Maybe it's not what you're actually doing, but what you aren't doing instead. Today, we're going to talk with Jessi from This Way to Fabulous, a brand specialist who is going to walk us through exactly what creating a brand identity starts with. And once you have that foundation, it's going to give you a roadmap on not only how to do things right, but it's going to give you a real good focus on how to grow your brand into where you see it actually deserves to be. So please join us on today's episode of Coffee and Cameras as we welcome Jessi from This Way to Fabulous. And seriously, go grab a pen and paper, grab your favorite cup of coffee. No shit, today's episode is really going to change the way you do business. Let's get it started. Jessi, welcome to the show.
What up, what up?
Oh my God. Okay, that was like, I love that energy.
I know.
We're diving in.
Are
we doing clink?
Sorry.
Doing clink.
Clink. Welcome. Yay.
Here's your splash of bright color for the day.
Oh, you are the splash of bright color for our day. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Today, we're going to be talking all about branding and creating a brand identity. And your line of work, your history, your knowledge is very much in the same line as what we try and do, but you handle branding more than we do. I love this topic so freaking much, and I cannot tell you how excited I am about this. Literally, like if I'm bored like watching TV, I'll turn off the TV and just think, wouldn't it be fun to brand this coffee mug in a different way? What kind of commercial would this be? So I'm talking too much. Let's dive in.
That's why we have a guest. You got to shut up.
I'm the same human. I will take like anything and be like, how could I do that better? I know exactly how I could do that better. And I would actually be able to visualize it. That's kind of like my toxic trait is really being able to like visualize the end, even though there's nothing to work with.
A toxic
That's
trait.
not a toxic trait.
It's
No.
kind of just this like, no one gets it. And that's really hard. Like I could walk into space and be like, oh, we could do this and this and this. Or like someone could tell me about the brand or what they're looking for. And it's like this. And that's where I am today. So that's, I mean, it makes sense.
It does. Like something clicks. Like whenever we walk in to a business too, and they say something like, "Well, we need more people," and we look around really quick. We're like, "Well, do this, and this," and then you can bring in so much more attention. But you got to convince them that maybe that idea might actually work.
Yeah, I think when you're running your own business and trying to come up with ideas, it's so much more difficult to come up with your own ideas. Like, and a lot of times I have so many great ideas for other guests, but I'm like, me trying to figure out what the heck I want to do with my new business. I'm like, I don't know.
So on that point, Hilda is opening another side business, and she's been dreading it for like the last couple months, like really kind of like fine tuning it. And then we sat down, and it's like, well, here's all our ideas. And then she's like, this is it. Because it's so easy as a business owner to like fall into like, well, I got to wear 300 hats. I have to worry about my marketing. I have to worry about the brand. I have to worry about customer engagement. I have to worry about customer service. I have to worry about the bills I have to pay to make sure this works. It's very hard to take a step out and say, well, how does the customer actually see me? Not how I want to be seen.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's really tough.
I might hit you up for some ideas.
I mean, I say the same thing about myself. Anytime I have to be doing the things for myself is like, why is this so hard? Why is this taking me 3 hours to like develop a social media strategy for like 2 weeks? Why is this taking me 3 hours?
Right.
But you guys could sit here and tell me something you want to do. I'd be like, here's 2 months worth of content ideas for you because I can, that's normal. And we're all creatives. And I feel like that's kind of our MO. That's why people hire us, because the people that hire us can't see it either, but we see it, right? Like we don't hire ourselves to do that stuff. Well, that's not true. We do sometimes,
We do.
but we struggle with it, right?
Yes.
Like we struggle with it so much. I'm the same way, and I'm also someone who like any new idea, it's like I'm gonna go buy that domain. I'm a domain whore.
We just did the same thing. We just did a giant binge.
Binge,
A binge
yes.
of buying
Yes.
domains. So yeah, I totally feel that because like it's an idea for later and I'll do that later. But I will come back to it. Today we're going to be talking about how to create a brand identity, whether that be for a business or a individual. And something what we always like to really stress is if you're an individual doing your own thing, like let's say you have a YouTube channel where you review coffee mugs, okay? You are the brand. You know, everything that you are putting out is still the brand. You don't have to be a giant conglomerate or an incorporated, corporation to have a brand. So understanding the fundamentals of what a brand actually is and how to design that to your benefit, then everything else easily falls into place. Like literally, you have a cheat sheet. You have a game plan. Be like, well, what do I post this week? Well, look at your branding. What do you people actually want to see? So let's dive in. How should a brand, again, regardless of type of brand, how should they start? Like blank piece of paper. Jessi, oh my God, help us.
Yeah, like for me, it was like, I have a business name. Now what?
So here's the problem, actually. Coming up with a business name first is sometimes the biggest problem. And you mentioned something about people worrying about all the things, right? Like your marketing, your finances, all those things. Another very big problem that people have is they're overthinking most of it. They're thinking about the wrong things. Like, right? We live in a world where the very first thing we're worried about is social media.
Yeah.
Every day, all day, in our sleep, we're worried about social media, right?
true.
Yeah.
And that is like the last part of the puzzle. And that's like a big thing that I'm teaching right now. And I'm also in a sabbatical-ish from social media. I have been off of social media for about 3 months.
Have you
from
really?
From a strategical posting standpoint. I have more profit, better clients, and more clarity of what I'm doing because that was a big cloud filled with rain. Just, like I can't keep my paper dry. I can't keep my ideas because the rain just keeps,
Yeah, that's a good
Because
way
you're
of saying
worried
it.
about the reach and you're worried about the when you post and what you post and how
You're worried
often.
about all the wrong things.
Yeah. Okay.
All the wrong things. And so the biggest problem so a year ago, we were a marketing agency. We had a team. We were doing all kinds of things. We were doing branding, web design. I'm obviously a photographer. I dove into video. We had a copywriter. We had a social media manager. We had a systems and operations person. We were really trying to run this like marketing agency. And as soon as we started putting things out there as a marketing agency, we were getting all of these clients who were happy to throw us their money, but they didn't understand what their problems were. And they were throwing money at social media management. They were throwing money at the things that didn't matter because they couldn't answer they couldn't answer 5 simple questions about their brand. So they actually had no idea who they were. They just had this idea that I want to be an entrepreneur, right? Who doesn't?
Right.
Like people just want to say they're an entrepreneur.
I want to make my own hours. Which I'll tell you
Don't
right
even
now
get me started
is
on that.
24/7
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on
Which
that.
100 hours do you want to spend on your business?
per week.
Per week, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I had decided, I just don't like this. It didn't feel good to me. And I'm just that person who I spent 10 years in the wedding industry. I gave my life away to people who half of the time ended up getting divorced 5 years later or 2 years or whatever. But I didn't get anything back from that, right? Like I was giving so much and I wasn't getting anything back from a emotional or growth standpoint. I was doing the damn thing every day. I knew exactly what I was doing. Yeah. I barely prepped for weddings anymore by my 10th year because I was just like, shit never goes away, but it's planned anyway. So I got my gear, everything's charged, and it is what it is. It is what it is, right? And it was just it was so boring. It was so boring. And I just did not feel like I had a true outlook of who I wanted to become. Or I had an idea, but I wasn't I wasn't on the right road, right? I was in another freaking country. I was going west when I should have been going east. And so I really just kind of decided that I was like, something's got to change, because I can't stand working with clients who are literally just throwing money at me to say that they're fixing a problem, but they're not actually fixing the
They're
problem.
putting a Band-Aid on.
They're putting like an already soggy Band-Aid on it.
Okay.
Like, so bad. It's so bad.
So what are the 5 questions that people need to answer?
Yeah. So like whenever somebody was coming in, I would always ask them the who, what, when, where, why. Okay. I try to keep it as simple as possible for people, because A, you can't keep attention for shit these days. And B, people just really need things kindergarten to them if they have to do the thinking, right? You don't want to make them think about the question as much as thinking about the answer. So I always do a who, what, when, where, why test with them. And if they can't answer that, then I, now that we are a branding agency, force them into the branding experience, which is a super in-depth questionnaire plus a 2-hour one-on-one call to like go deeper into these things, because every question they answer, I make them ask 2 more questions to go even deeper. So when you're in the hue, or
in the hue, yeah.
In the hue? I want to be in the hue.
I want to be in the pink hue.
you know the magenta,
right
the
okay.
Pink.
The
pink.
hex code FF0091, that's mine.
wait, what is it?
The hex code is FF0091.
Ours is B87333.
Nice. I like the 333.
B87. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm typing
We
that
call
in
this nerd bonding.
Hex codes are a fantastic way to do that.
Yes, they are.
Sure. People actually ask me, what's that hex code? I'm like, okay, fine. I get it. You're making fun of me. Okay, so when you're talking about who, a lot of people think that the who question is about them. And it is not. The who question, I mean, like, you do have to ask yourself, like, who am I in this,
Right.
like, but the who is not them. The who is their client, right? The who is who needs this, right? And a lot of people will say,
Everybody.
Moms.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Correct.
No,
More
not
specific,
moms.
right.
So then, like, what kind of moms?
Yep.
What types of moms? What struggles do they have? Where do they live? Where do
How
they
old
shop?
are
Where
they?
do they, like, who is that person? And you ask further down. Okay. The what is the problem, not what are you offering?
Correct.
What problem are you solving for the client?
Yes.
No one
Okay.
buys a product; they buy
a
the
solution.
Absolutely. And they also buy into experience, which is part of the solution.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
But the what, again, we just, as humans, we live in this world where we're constantly worried about ourselves. We only think about ourselves. We are so selfish in this world.
Oh,
And I mean,
yeah.
like, I'm not discluding myself.
No, I'm not either. My friend said this in a beautiful sentence one year. He goes, "Humans are monkeys. We love looking at ourselves in the mirror." This is back when I was doing comic books and I would go to comic book conventions. And the big thing was like, how do you get someone to stop at your booth to get them to look at your stuff when there's all this other cool shit around you?
So how do you?
You put a mirror up.
You're joking.
I cannot tell you how many people stopped to like fix their cosplay, or just like they would look, or like they would walk in by and they would walk like this and go,
Are you kidding me?
and they
That's
would stop.
genius.
It was the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Wow.
And
Yet
then
the
it just
simplest-
clicked.
yeah.
People are monkeys. They want to talk about themselves. They want to hear about themselves. They are the main character of their own story.
I mean, that's fantastic, because it's incredibly true.
Yeah.
Incredibly true.
I did not mean to derail you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, it's okay. It's just, people are very selfish, and they are immediately thinking of themselves versus what they're doing, right?
Right.
So in the what, you need to think about what the problem is, what the solution is, which is like your side, but like, you're not just thinking about like, what is it? What's the product? You're thinking about what it is that's changing their life. What is it that's, giving them that transformation that they're looking for? When. Okay, so the when is more about understanding when your client needs you. And this is really important for social media, because when you're doing social media, you have to know which campaigns are talking to which person. Is this person already in the phase of transition and they need help finishing the transition? Is this person somewhere right before the transition that needs help getting into the, like, you have to know the when, because you would speak to someone who's not quite there yet very differently than you would speak to someone who's almost done. They just need to wrap it up. Right. Very, very different. So the when is very important, is like understanding when your product, service, or solution is coming into their life, right? Where. So the where is also super important, because it's kind of one of those differences between whether you run a virtual business or an in-person business, because you do have to understand your geographical location, especially for services where like we're photographing. Obviously, we need to be focused on our location.
Right.
But if you only know that you're trying to reach people locally, you're missing the boat, because there is so many people that are not local that you could be helping in some type of way.
A myriad of different ways. Right.
Whether that means you're starting a new brand or a new sub brand, or you're just offering something different. There is so much more to the where than just like, well, where do I live? Where does my customer live? Right. You also have to be very, very, very hyper focused on where the customer hangs out. You cannot go on LinkedIn trying to get a TikTok mom, like a mom who's scrolling TikTok. Like she's not going to find you on LinkedIn.
Nope.
You have to know where they are hanging out. Very important. And people miss that part a lot, because I think people just assume that their clients are hanging out where they are. And that might be true to a certain extent. But that's not understanding the where. That's just assuming the where.
Yes.
And we can assume nothing in business.
Yeah, especially branding and marketing.
1000%.
It's the client I think we have is not the client we actually have.
1000%.
It is wildly obvious the more we go along.
Yeah, like we had a client that we met with, and they were like, this is what I'm doing. We had a meeting. It was wonderful. We talked to her like a month later. She's doing everything different. And we're like, what happened to the client we just talked to? You know, so that just threw us for such a loop. We're like, okay, so now we're starting again, because things have changed like so fast.
Because they're still not doing the work. They're avoiding the deeper work.
That's it.
And that is kind of my like passion now, is really forcing people to do the deep work. We live in a world where shallow work is like all we want to do. We only want to do the quick wins. We only want to do the things that we can, get a dopamine hit off of. And, like it's just the world we live in. And people are so avoidant of the deeper work. And I think that for me, that deeper work didn't really come until after I lost my first business, and after I got divorced, and after my son was attacked. And it was all in the same time, darkest time of my life. And I really had to learn how to like lean into that. And like I said, the wedding industry for me was just not a very teaching. I wasn't learning anything about myself. I wasn't learning anything about who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. It wasn't until I lost all of that I was like, slapped in the goddamn face.
Right.
Like, what are you going to do with your life?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's how it is. But now I'm kind of that person that gets to be like, what the fuck are you doing with your life?
Yeah. But
and
fuck you
people
doing?
need that
1000%. And those are my people, and they get it. They're like, damn, you see me. I'm like, I do.
Right.
And that's fine. And the whole vibe attract your tribe thing, I could go on for hours about that, and I won't. But the summit that I ran last week, you could tell that 90% of those people were like vibe attract your tribe situation, because these people, they thought it was funny.
So they were ready for your hardcore feedback, like stop fucking around. You're not doing the work.
And the transformations were happening in the chat. I literally started crying.
Awesome.
I like had to take myself off camera, and my my other friend who was running it, she's like making fun of me on the live feed, like, Jessi, I think she's crying, guys.
But that's how you know that you have the right business for you, when you're so involved, like your mind, body, soul is like in that. That's so great.
1000%. And that was like, it was truly the first like core visceral feeling, I think, that I've had in the last year of this transition of being like, I'm in the right direction. I have pointed my needle in the right direction, and maybe I didn't like, take off downhill. I mean, it's a climb, and it always will be, but like, I am in the right direction. It took over, right? Like it was just this feeling. And
so you knew you're in the right track.
1000%.
Wow.
Everything about your brand should feel right. If you feel like you have to change your mind every month, you are doing a lot of things wrong. A lot of deeper things.
That's where we messed up in the beginning.
It's where almost everyone messes up in the beginning.
Exactly. And I think something that needs to be talked about more
1000%
is the fuck ups. I'm sorry. Like, I used to be in sports, right? If I won a competition, I'd walk off being like, I'm the shit. I got this. That never made me grow. When I lost, I walked off and said, oh my God, I need to reevaluate something, because I thought I was better than this. I learned epically more from the failures than I ever did from the wins.
Yep.
So
wins and lessons.
So we looked at our brand after we got together and was like, okay, this is what we want to do. Let's just push out, because this is what everyone else is doing, and this is what we should do. Oh my God, was that a mess up?
Was it during COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
This is what I call you guys are the new COVID babies. You guys, like all the businesses that started during COVID, like I joke that those businesses are the COVID babies because a lot of my clients are COVID babies.
Yeah, I get that.
Because we had no choice then to figure out what the fuck we were going to do.
You had to pivot.
Reevaluate, recreate.
We had no choice. And that's life, right? Like we have no choice a lot of times. We have no choice but to do the best we can. And I never rip people apart like, what the fuck were you thinking?
Right.
Like,
Right.
it's not about that. It's about, okay, what were you thinking here? So we can make sure that we clarify and we evolve that thought.
Right.
Everything's about the evolution. I think the number one thing that separates my clients from a lot of other clients or separates the people who are ready to work with me or not are the people who can like agree with evolution and can agree in the longer term thinking because you have to understand that a brand is going to constantly evolve. Who, what, when, where, why.
The why.
Technically, the how only comes if they can answer the 5. So there's a bonus 6 question if they can answer the 5.
Right.
Okay.
And that's the how. I want to know how they think that this is going to work. Because I think people get too wrapped up in the how, which is why I don't include that question in the 5 question questionnaire.
People do the how before they do anything else.
People jump to the how. Why? Because all we want is the answer. All we want is the result. All we want is the end. We don't want to do the work.
Right.
So if I include how in the questionnaire, it's going to be the first question that they go to. And I know I have not done research on this, but I guarantee if I did somehow, more than 50% of people would jump to the how question before. And then they would like work their way back up. The how doesn't matter if you don't know the what.
Bingo.
Or the why.
Fuck yes. Yeah. Guys, if you're going to listen to anything today, please hear this. This is where everything comes from. What Jessi just said, you need to understand the basics before you get to the how. And it's very easy for us, especially as business owners or people who are running their business, is to jump to the how because that's how we see ourselves being successful. But if you're throwing paint at a wall before understanding you need a roller or a paintbrush, it's just going to be thrown paint, and then you're going to have layers of crap on crap on crap.
Might look good though.
No, it might, and that's the thing is this is not a we are not saying that this is absolutely what you have to do, but this is the tried and tested thing throughout generations. This is not new. We are talking about psychology here. We're talking about core elements of how things evolve. And if you understand the basics, there's a reason you don't just put wood in a ground without building a foundation for the house first. Because that shit's going to fall over.
100%.
Absolutely.
And you just got to do it
100%.
again. Take that analogy to heart, people.
And that's why it does, right? Your client that you were talking about, she told you one thing and a month later she told you another thing. It's because her foundation was cracked. There was no solid foundation that she was like building her house on the water or something. I don't know where she was building her house, but it wasn't on a solid foundation. And I think a lot of times too, people are looking externally to like validate their foundation or validate their why or validate all of those things. We all want validation in life.
We all want the billion followers.
Too many people are like constantly searching validation, and where they find it is on social media.
Yeah. And I think the biggest mistake too is when somebody starts a business, let's use photography, for example.
Sure.
And I was part of that guilty part. Like when I started my business the first year, I'm like showing everybody my photos. Well, who am I showing? My family and, some client. Yeah. Oh my God, this is so great. It wasn't great, but I wasn't asking the right questions and I wasn't approaching the right people to get the right feedback. So I'm like, pretty pictures, great. $50 an hour. I'm like, what? No, like looking back now, but I didn't ask any questions. I'm just like, I like taking pictures. So that's great as a hobby, but it's not going to be a business. Right.
So you brought up something really quick that I want to touch on, the social media numbers. And I think this is something as a society we take as validation for what we do, right? Whether it be for a hobby or whether it be for longevity of a business.
So why did you step away from social media?
It was definitely hindering my just mental health. I was definitely feeling like I knew what I wanted to do, right? Like I knew what I was trying to do, but I could not find the focus to figure said thing out. 3 weeks before I left to go film with the blocks, I was like, ready to burn everything down. I was ready to throw my entire business in the dumpster fire, quit the show, like not leave, stay home, just forget about it. I don't even know what I'm doing. You know, I don't belong there, all the things. And I really started to recognize how much time I was spending on social media trying to see what everyone else was doing to help myself understand what I wanted to be doing. Like, you're doing this. Maybe I want to do like part of that, but I want to do part of what you're doing, and I want to do part of what you're doing. And it was just like, why am I even looking externally? Because we just live in a world where it's easier to like have someone else validate that like what you're doing is right than to really dig deeper into doing your own work. Like, is this what you want?
Jumping to the how before you have
1,000%. And also worrying about the now versus the future. And I think that's kind of a hot topic, because I think that in business we have to be able to do both. But I'm more of a long-term thinker. I'm more of a like, I know that my 10-year goal that I set 4 years ago was to open a production house. I want to open a production house that's like a high energy creator hub, where it's obviously my photo and video studio, but it's also a place where I can have entrepreneur clients coming in and building their own content, and having a coach to help them build their content, help them clarify what it is that they're doing instead of wasting all their time just running around with their selfie phones. You know, I set that goal, and I have to come back to asking myself, is what I'm doing today getting me any closer, or is it taking me farther away? And that's a hard question for a lot of people to answer.
It's a hard reality to understand if it's not leading you in the direction.
Yep.
And then it's harder to be like, well, I need to pivot now because this is what I know. It's hard to like, well, I got to change everything, which might not be a bad idea.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, from the social media standpoint, I spent so long curating my social media to a point that I just kind of felt like I went strategically in. I built my social media to be more of a resource than I did for it to be a conversion tool. I've been in the game long enough with the mentality of social media not being my conversion tool. That's not where I'm selling. That's where I'm educating. That's where I'm becoming an authority. That's where we're starting topics that people aren't talking about. You know, like that's that platform. And I felt comfortable walking away from it, because I know that if someone goes to it today, it's still very relevant to what my brand is, but I can't continue to try to please the past and chase the future, right? Like, I can't be doing both at the same time. You've got to pick.
That's a really good quote. You're writing it down?
Just came up with it on the fly. So
wow, that's impressive. Like, that should be on a bumper sticker or a T-shirt or some shit.
I can make impressed.
That happen. Okay. Size.
Don't text me. That might be the new mug next time.
Okay. I like it.
So something this is why we do the podcast the way we do is we've only had one episode where we're talking about like what's happening right now, because a lot of people were worried about AI coming out. So we wanted to jump on that as fast as possible. But every other episode, we've really focused on the idea that this is going to be the same thing you need to worry about 10 years from now as you do today.
This is the how.
This is the how.
Social media and AI and all of this is part of the how.
Right.
Don't worry about the how yet. If you don't know the other 5 things, the how should be the last thing that you're doing. The last thing. Actually, the people at my summit were really upset, I think, that I didn't talk deeper into social media because they knew social media was going to be a part of the topic. But I started that segment and was like, guys, we're not talking about like the fun stuff with social media. I'm here to basically tell you that you need to like pump the brakes.
Everyone wants to know, like, what hashtag should I use for this? What is the golden ticket? And you said it dead on, and something we highly believe in is you need to put in the work.
Or you get out what you put in.
You get out what you put in. Correct.
Absolutely.
And we believe in helping others, because our core belief is if everyone rises to the top together, like the tide rises all boats, right? And we don't do that unless everyone puts in the work. You know, a couple people aren't going to do that. And I believe it was your quote that I'm going to steal this from, because it connected with me so hard. It said, competition and struggle happens at the bottom. Collaboration and growth happens at the top.
I use this at every summit, networking event,
love
everything, because truly the people who are competing are so worried about the wrong things, and the people who are at the top are the ones open to change, open to innovation, open to collaboration, open
Sharing,
to
growth.
just growth.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I learned that from Jason because I didn't know any better. You know this
It
story.
took me a long time to
in
get it
in the
too.
beginning, I'm like, I'm not going to share my cool location with that photographer. They're going to go take pictures there, and then I won't be awesome anymore. And it's like, and then I started becoming friends with him, and he's like, oh yeah, like I loan out my equipment, I share information freely. I'm like, you do? Like what? So then that changed my whole mindset. It's like they're no longer a competition. They're an asset. They're a friend. There's somebody that gives me referrals when they're booked. I'm like,
Or just a friend. Like literally,
so-
like the moment you start like hoping someone gives you back, that's when you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Yeah, but like I was surprised that I was getting referrals from this person that I barely know
Yup,
just because
yup.
I stopped hoarding all my information and being all like, so I totally
You are
agree
you,
with that.
and that is your superpower, and it always will be. No one can take that away from you. You will always
Own that. You're fucking
put that cape on.
Yes.
Make it hot pink, and then
my color,
I can make you one.
And then give me a royalty for it.
my color's red, so I'll put a red. Pink and
I want to piggyback on something you said though about your core belief that the tide will rise and we can all come up together, and core values and beliefs are a massive part of building your brand. So the 5-question thing is more of me like, what's the right word? I'm more trying to like funnel out people. There's a term for that. I don't know why I can't.
Okay.
I call
Vetting.
it sussing out.
What'll it be, fellas? How much for the phaser gun?
Sorry, Garfunkel. We don't hawk Trek here.
Well then, Slim, if you don't sell the Trek, then why do you have a phaser gun in the case?
We keep this one here to suss out Trekkie bitches like yourselves and tell them to get the hell off of our land. Get the hell out of here!
I call
Vetting.
it sussing out.
Yeah, something like that. That's not even part of our like framework. That's just that's like the pre-questionnaire to see if we're even going to be the right fit. A big part of the actual experience is understanding what values and core beliefs that you have, because that's not something you can look to someone else for.
Yeah.
Like you have to own that. That has to
Yeah.
exist in you. And I feel like one of the reasons why like this is such a beautiful friendship is because we all value innovation, growth, collaboration. We all value a lot of the same things. And once you can really kind of tie in your core values, those people are going to flock to you. I mean, that is your vibe attracting your tribe. 1000%.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And people will feel that. You don't even have to say it. I don't have to say the tide rises.
But what you just said, though, they have to feel it.
Yes.
It is way more about how it feels
Which is
than
what
how
you
it
said.
sounds.
Yeah.
Or how it looks on paper.
100%.
It is a feeling. So if you're not feeling in tune, like if you're not feeling like your business is sexy, something's wrong.
Yeah.
You got to dive a little deeper and really
100%.
figure out what it is that's missing, because it's probably something from the core. It's probably something you don't want to talk about, or you don't want to open that up, or like kind of you don't want to go there. Most people don't want to go there. Why do you think not enough people go to therapy? In my opinion,
100%.
But that's people oppose therapy because they know that's going to take them somewhere they don't want to go.
Girl, don't get me started. Oh my God. I've been in therapy for 10 years, and recently I just got to the point where I am addressing all my feelings, so it's like that just like opened up my eyes to a whole new different thing. I'm like, oh, I have to feel things. Well, other people feel things. Okay, well, let's talk about what those feelings. I'm like, really?
I think too many people are closed off because they're worried about being judged.
100%. And that's when I'm like, this new business I'm starting, it's like, I'm going to swear, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want because this is my business. And it's like, this is going to be my third business. And I'm like, I'm going to do it the way I want. And if it doesn't work, I'll still be happy because this is what I want to do. So
It's easier, so much easier when you're doing it for what you want to do than doing it what you think you should be doing, or doing it based on what someone else is going to think about what you're doing. Or I mean, like, hello, you don't need that validation, right? Like there are so many people. How many times I have people like telling me, how do you get so many photographers like in your networking groups and all of these things? And I'm like, because I'm a photographer. And they're like, exactly. And I'm like, what's the
Yes.
question here?
Yes.
I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, aren't you guys like worried about people like stealing your clients and stuff? And I'm like, no, I'm not.
your right client is not going to be stolen by another photographer.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
And A, they're not me. And B, there are enough people in the fucking world for all of us.
Oh my God, yes.
And number 3, if there's competition, that means that there's a need for it in the market. That means there's a market for it.
Right.
That means that it's a solution that needs to be solved by numerous people. Competition's a good thing. Competition is not a bad thing. So when people are in the brand discovery process and I ask them who their competition is, that's a trick question. Truly, don't tell my clients that. It's a trick question because I want to know whether or not they're fucking worried about this competition or if they're just putting themselves in the market research of these are the other people that exist that are doing similar solutions. Competition's a fantastic thing because that means you have you're doing something right.
Now, and I'll go on record. I happily say this, that 90% of my time, I am that mindset. I am this is awesome. I'm friends with our competition. I am literally Hi. But like I've gone and hung out. I've had lunch. Like we hang out. We've worked together. You know,
But we're not competition.
But
we
we're not
offer
competition.
Such a different experience.
Yes, yeah, and the experience is a huge thing.
Yes.
But that other 10% of the time, you know, like when you haven't had a call in a while, when you haven't had a lead
and
or
you're
something
feeling
like that,
down about
and you're feeling down,
yourself,
it's like, you start second guessing.
Yeah.
And I think this is the kind of stuff that people don't talk about enough that they need to, because other people out there are, I guarantee you're having the same thing. Like it being a teacher or a parent has taught you anything, that everyone has that question, that fear, that thing that they're not talking about, but everyone else is feeling, thinking, questioning the same thing.
Like when he's in his negative, space, he's like, our website sucks and this sucks and everything sucks. And I'm like, everything doesn't suck. It's just like everything's good. Just calm down. But
and
it's
then
like
we'll get 3 clients in a row.
Yeah,
like in a couple days.
It's like you got to tell the universe, I'm fucking pissed. Give me a client. And then they do. And then they give you 3 and they're like, leave us alone for a few months.
Yeah, I need a break.
Yes. Calm down,
but
universe.
You just asked. So I think that's a really important thing to know, is that it's important to look at your competition not as competition.
Look at it as validation.
It's a resource as well.
A resource and validate. Fuck, that was good. Also, on that note, we swear, and I want people to know that, because for a long time we were like, let's try and be a little cautious about that. But it dawned on me one day when we were down here, we're like, people who are watching this have way more shit to worry about than me dropping an F-bomb.
Yeah.
Why do you think am the one that listens to this while I'm editing? Because talk about vibe attracting tribe right there. I'm like, man, I feel like I'm sitting there with them. I'm just not talking. I just don't have a mic. I just don't have a mic. But
I'm talking to you. Pause the show. I have an opinion. Okay, now we're back.
Yeah, we decided
you need to get live callers. You need to start letting me live call
I
in.
want to so bad.
No.
Just me. Maybe it could just be me.
No.
I could have mock voices and I could call in different voices.
No.
Steve from Algonquin, thank you for calling in again. I appreciate your
no.
I love what you said though about it not being talked about, because I think that when I started my podcast, that was a big thing for me. Of like the base of it was like, I want to talk about the shit that people don't talk about. I want to be the one that has the balls to talk about it so that it gets talked about more, right? Because I think that it's like when you go in the room and they're like, there's no stupid question, but meanwhile they're like, there is, just don't ask it, and everybody's like, I'm not gonna ask that question.
Well, and then you're afraid to ask anything.
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
Where's the fun in that? Where's the growth in that? Where's the risk in that? Where is all that's boring? That's boring, right? And you want to attract the people that you want to attract. You don't want the bullshit. Quality over quantity every day of the week, and that is something I have to drill into my branding clients.
It's hard. Because as a business owner, you want to bring in more so you can expand, so you can grow. So I don't think there's a business owner out there, besides the scummy ones, who got into their line of work for, I want to make money.
Yes.
And I want to get out of this. I don't give a shit about helping people. I think everyone got into their business at a certain point to say, I'm very good at what I do. I understand what I can do can help other people, whether that be lawn maintenance or branding or cake baking, whatever. You do something well enough that can really impact someone's life in a degree. You want to do it. But you got to do it, and you got to do it well, and you got to let everyone know how important it is.
You got to stop talking about it, and you got to fucking do it.
Right.
That's just probably the biggest thing in our society right now. Everybody's talking about all the things, but no one's doing any of the actual things.
I can't tell you how many times when I let people know that I make films and stuff, and they go, I have an idea for a film, you should use it. And I'm like, all right, well, go make it. I'll be excited to watch it.
You have plenty of your own ideas.
Well, I mean, we're living in an age right now, which let's not go into marketing yet, but you can do almost everything from your phone if you know how it correlates to your brand And this is the one thing I always preach. There should be a why behind every decision. If I'm using my phone, I'm using it for a reason. If I am using the audio on my phone, I'm using it for a reason. Otherwise change that to fit the reason. So let's get back into this. We got the sussing out, we got the preliminary, and we got the core values. There's a lot more.
There's a lot more, like way more than we can get into today. So I'm gonna have to kind of pick.
This would be a series. This would be an entire show, like an entire.
So did you have a question for her?
No, of course not.
Okay. So I have a question. So
she's letting me roll with the wind here.
So what is the one suggestion that you can give to somebody out there watching that they can do right now today?
Ask yourself the who, what, when, where, why.
Okay.
Make sure that you can get some answers in there. And when you have an answer in each category, ask 2 more questions. Okay. Take it even deeper, get even more specific. Because truly building a brand has to be specific. If you're out there talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. You're wasting all of your time and your money.
Let's repeat that.
Louder for those in the back.
Yes.
If you are out there talking to everyone, you are speaking to no one.
Love that.
You're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. You're wasting your resources. You're literally wasting your entire life hoping that someone is listening.
Yeah. And I think
there's a reason why they're not.
Yeah. The one thing that, I learned from Jason and other marketing experts is like, who are you talking to specifically? Because to me, it was like, who's your target market? Let's use my boudoir, photography business as an example. All women. But no, not all women. It's like women who are interested in boudoir. Okay. What kind?
Keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
How old are they? Where do they shop? What do they do? Why would they hire you? And all these things. And that's exhausting.
You're forgetting the biggest question, though.
Which is?
What transformation are they looking for? What are they looking to leave with outside of the tangibles?
Well, for me, it was always that good feeling that they had after the session that they left. Really?
Too vague.
Okay.
Too vague.
Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going, but too vague.
This is a great example.
Help me dig it out.
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
Right.
Live hot seat, folks.
Okay. I don't know. So my answer is I don't know.
Nope. Keep going.
That's not acceptable. But what you just said about you want them to feel good. What does that mean?
They are leaving happier about how they felt about themselves when they first came in because of the session that they just had.
By their physical appearance, by the way that they did something different and expanded their boundaries, by the fact that
by being brave enough to actually go through the process. Because a lot of clients are like, oh, I want to do it, but they never follow through. So the fact that they follow through,
no do again, just like the rest of society, right? Okay. You have to remember that, in boudoir photography, especially. They are someone who is right at the cusp of that transition. Mm-hmm. They are ready for that transition, but they're still they're still cautious, right? You're getting them into that hump and you're getting them out, right? So you've already gotten them in the transition now where they're excited, and now they're, maybe they think of themselves differently. They look in the mirror differently. They treat their spouse differently. They all of the things. There is so much more than they just feel good. That is incredibly vague. I can go for a massage and feel good.
Wow, that's an excellent
right.
point.
I could go test drive a Tesla and feel good. Those are all very different feelings of good, right?
Wow.
You want to think more about longer term than them just leaving. What is that doing for them a week from then? Mm-hmm. How are they looking at themselves a week later? How are they treating their spouse a week later because their mood is up or they just think differently? What are the ripple effects of that? Once you start thinking of the ripple effects of that, now you start to get very specific, and now your marketing targets those specifics for the people who are before her. So the people who aren't ready are now seeing the transitions before they even know that they need it. Does that make sense? It's kind of like this massive circle.
Wow.
This massive regurgitation of content and ideas and feelings.
I always say niche down. She explained it far better than I did.
Real-time examples are a lot easier than just trying to make shit up. But literally every time you think you have an answer, dig deeper.
Dig deeper. Okay.
Dig deeper until you literally cannot anymore. And I'm talking
so not fun digging. So how do you force your... I get it. Yeah. Well, you like that, but I don't. For me, it feels uncomfortable to dig deeper because, like I said, I'm just coming to terms with, feelings and all that. So it's how do you push yourself, to the point where it feels uncomfortable, but you still keep going?
You just do it. I mean, you surround yourself with people who will
There it is.
take that extra, who will take you that extra inch,
Yep.
right? Maybe you need
That's
to go
why
a
he's my
mile,
business partner.
but this person will take you an inch, and this person will take you another inch. It's definitely all about who you surround yourself with, and that's true in just life, right? Like that's not even
100%.
just a business thing. You need to surround yourself by people who are going to push you to small areas of discomfort, and my branding clients get pushed a lot farther than a small amount of discomfort, and I tell people out of the gate, this is my most uncomfortable and not fun service.
Yeah.
I will tell them up front because I don't want them coming in knowing my brand and knowing me and knowing how fun everything is to expect this to be fun, because this shit ain't fun. But doing the shit that's not fun first is going to make the rest so easy and just a fucking party.
Yeah. Fuck yes.
Because everything falls into place. They literally leave that experience with the sheet. You mentioned like having, like your brand on paper. I have a compass. I built out a digital compass for them. And I tell them, take this sheet, print it, blow it up as a poster, laminate it for all I care. I don't know. But anytime you make a decision, this sheet should be in front of you. These are the things that whatever the thing is, it better pass the test. And if it doesn't, you pivot, you evolve, you whatever in the part that doesn't match up, you figure that out until it hits all those levels. It's very important because that's how we get off a tangent, right? Maybe that's my ADHD talking too, but I mean, like, we all need something like a Bible of business to tell us, like, I don't know, would this work? Well, let's see. Does it fit this category? Does it fit this category? Am I doing it for myself or am I doing it for my customer? Like there are so many things that this compass is like the tangible thing that they get out of this.
So how do you answer that question? Do you do it for yourself or do you do it for your client? What's the answer?
There isn't a right answer, but you have to know, like there has to be a balance, right? There has to be a balance. If you're doing it for yourself, are you doing it just to make more money? Are you doing it for yourself to make a bigger impact, which is technically for yourself and for them? Like it's asking deeper questions than that. It's not as simple as, are you doing this for yourself or for them? It's not as simple as that. That's the surface question. Now you have to kind of dive that down and you say, okay, on the side of myself, this will make me more time. It'll take me less, or this will make me more money. This will take me less time. And the impact that I'm able to make in this space is larger. What's for them? The impact is larger. It's more convenient for them. And, XYZ, I'm making these up on the fly here, but like you have got to be able to take that down even deeper.
I appreciate you pushing me. I know that's his
I felt
area.
my eyes widen, and I apologize.
I got a laser beam eyes at
and
you.
I got to admit, I fought this from him like for so long because I just want to go make pretty pictures. I want to go have fun. No, I don't want to do because it's fucking hard, but you have to do the hard work in order to get to the success. So.
You do, but you also have to recognize that like that. You have to reflect on that, right? You can't sit there and say like, I just don't want to, but thank God he made me, right? You need to flip that script and you need to say, I surrounded myself with the people who allowed me to grow a little bit farther, to open my eyes into what's next, to help me close that last chapter and open this new one. Everything's a flipping the script of like, oh my God, I hate this so much, but like, just flip it. Right? I lost my house, my 7-figure business, and my son got attacked by our dog all within a span of 30 days. And instead of, trust me, I had 2 years where I was like, why the fuck is this happening to me? Right? But after 2 years of doing a lot of deeper work, fuck the shallow work, right? Do the deeper work on yourself and in your life and in your business, you start to realize that those things were happening for you. Those things were happening because you needed a lesson to move forward. You needed a lesson to grow. You needed something to slap you in the goddamn face to wake you up, right? So you have to still recognize that those moments where you're feeling that, because it's not wrong. It's okay to think those ways, but you have to be willing to acknowledge it and move on. We don't have to sit here and talk about how awful XYZ is. You have to just move on. You have to get past that. So I'm proud of you. I see this transformation too. I might cry again.
Right?
Oh,
Isn't it
man,
amazing?
yes.
Like I see it all the time. That's why I'm pushing you so hard for the new brand. Because like I see the fire in you and I see you making the footsteps that you need to do that you didn't do originally with your first brand.
Yes.
He feels the impact.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
And that's what it is we were talking about earlier, like what we get out of it. I'm like, yeah, we get paid. But what it really matters is when I'm sitting in a room with like multiple people explaining this kind of stuff and you see one person's eyes go, like you see the whites just like grow exponentially around. They go, they're getting it. They're getting it, and they're going to go home, and that's going to change everything they do. That's the best feeling in the world.
I won't even go as far as to say that they're getting it, but they're
starting
opening
to.
their
Yes.
mind.
Bingo.
Yes.
There's a shift in their mindset. There's a door opened.
Right.
And the floodgates are now able to like accept more information and accept whatever. It's not even about making you get it.
Yes.
It's about making you think about it differently. And that's a huge thing. Everything I do is about how can I make people think differently? Because truly the impacts and the transformations happen when people think differently than they're used to.
Super true.
And I would love to be that
Super true.
person.
Yes. And I think you need that other person to like, you can't get out of your own head unless you're
1000%.
like some sort of genius, you know? So thank you.
Thank
you. Yeah.
One of my favorite lines is if you're the smartest, funniest, best person in your friend group, you need new friends.
Yep.
Or
Because you're not
same with
evolving
business.
and
Like,
learning.
if you're the best person at your business, get the fuck out of that job.
The last day of filming the blocks, we had a fireside chat, and the question was, what is it that you're taking home with you? And it was a really powerful and interesting like circle for like 20 of us to kind of go around and say that. And the number one thing I said was that when I get home, I'm finding some new circles. I'm going to make sure that I'm surrounding myself with the people, because the feeling, people ask me all about my experience there, and it is very hard to put into words because it was a feeling. You are in a room with 90 other people who fucking get it, and we don't get that at home, right? We might have a few people, but like we don't get that here. And it was a feeling that I am now like obsessed with sort of recreating to my community, because that feeling needs to be a part of every business owner's life. That feeling is everything. So when it got to me, I was like, I wasn't drunk, I swear. But I was like, I'm going home and I'm finding some motherfucking new rooms.
That's fucking awesome. Oh my God. Good for
Everybody
you.
was like, damn.
okay.
And then they were clapping. But,
Yay.
yeah, it's a thing. Everything has to be a feeling. If you really want to grow, it needs to feel right.
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer in that.
But got to put the work in. Like we were talking before the show started, no growth. All growth is dependent upon work.
Yep.
Mental, physical, nothing comes without work.
And I honestly, I was like, thankfully, because of the wonderful people I surround, like, I'm like, oh, I just want to make pretty pictures. I don't care about anything else. I'm like, that can only take me so far,
Right.
Yeah. So for my new business, I haven't even taken any pictures for, which I really, really want to, but I'm like, because I don't have the foundation yet. I didn't do the work. I didn't suss out all my feelings and see what feels right. So,
And once you have
so
that
much
poster,
homework.
you're
What
ready
a
to go.
great topic, though, because I think that there's so many people who fear starting something new because of all of the work, right?
Yeah.
You want it now. You know you could do it, but if you do it now, you're going to regret it a year from now, right? And how many people are out there waiting and waiting and waiting because they're avoiding the deep work?
I've done it numerous times. And then
Once you do the deep work once, though, it gets easier, which is why serial entrepreneurs are a thing.
and it gets fun.
It gets fun because you start to realize that is the like foundational, like that starts the snowball. That's the gas that goes in the car so that you can go somewhere.
Yes.
Right? Like it starts to get exciting instead of being like, oh my God, I have to do the deep work.
It's not a drudge. I can't tell you. Ever since we started this business, and I've been doing corporate work for forever, but ever since we actually started the business to a full focus, our tagline is we make badass content for badass brands. Okay? If that doesn't sit well with you, that's cool. There's other companies out there. And it's not that we don't want you, it's that we want you to be happy. We want you to find something that's awesome for you. Meanwhile, someone out there is going, fuck yeah. And if that's your answer to our question, by the way, we're fucking gonna hang out well. But I don't know where I was going with this.
It was good no matter what.
Yes.
It was good no matter what.
that you have, like, just by saying that, the right client is going to find you, and it's okay if another client doesn't like it, because there's other clients we can.
Also, I'm going to drop a bomb here.
Here we go. Drum roll.
I can't wait.
We don't need.
Can we open the conversation about like what a client thinks their role is and what we think our role is? Because
Let's do it.
like in that topic of you saying that is kind of like, who the fuck is the client? Like, why does the client get to decide?
Right.
right? I want to grow to a point where I am fully in control. I get to decide. I don't want to be.
The other camera for that.
I want to be in a place
No,
where
no, you're not.
I'm in the driver's seat. I want to be the one deciding you're not the right client for me. I'm sorry, this is not a good fit.
Yeah.
Isn't
You know,
that
and
the
I've been
best
better
fucking
about
feeling?
that.
Yes.
I've been better about that, but like I want to be in a place where it is so hard to work with me because you like. I better like you. We better be making an impact. We better be like, why is it up to the customer to decide whether or not, like, if you say no to someone, what, and they rip you a new one, why was that for you to decide whether or not this would be a good fit, whether or not this would be beneficial for you? Like, more than likely, we're not a good fit because what I offer and what you're looking for are just not like that. We're not going to end up with the same result, right?
Right.
But we become the asshole because we're saying no to someone. We become that asshole. Why is that?
Can you extrapolate this, or really? Can you give an example? Because I want
Was
to
that
make.
a word?
I want to make.
I've never heard that word.
Extrapolate? Oh, okay.
Explain more
that
upon.
word. Got it.
Break it
I
down.
assumed, but that was such a big word.
I'm a big believer in the quote, if I said it and you understood it by context, it's a word. So I make up words all the time.
That's an
Which is
actual
exactly
word,
why when
yeah.
I told my boyfriend to go smork some meat, he knew
Yeah,
exactly that
you
I meant to
did.
smoke some pork.
Go smork that meat. That's more on your brand, isn't it?
Yes, baby.
Anyway.
Smoke some meat.
So extrapolate the like an example of that, because I don't want people thinking like you or any other business is like, fuck you, you don't get to work with me.
Sure.
Explain what you mean, because I know what you mean, but I want to make sure that that's hit home.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, we all have 24 hours in a day, right? We all have to choose what we do with that time, whether we're working, whether we're with family, whether we're doing something for ourselves. And like, I guess if you want a more specific example, recently I had a client come who wanted to do a video, and they wanted more than what I knew I could offer. Right. They saw from another client that I did this intro video, like this explainer video and whatever. And they want this, but they also want this. Right. They give you like 2 examples and they're not even close. Like these examples are not even close. Right. And I'm like, OK, A, they don't know what they don't know what they want. So they're not ready. B, I can't execute like that. Like I am me and I know what my limits are. And so instead I let them know that we're not a good fit, and I recommend them to someone who is, which is you guys doing bigger productions, you know? And it was like, well, I don't understand. I was referred by a friend. I don't understand why you won't work with me. And it was like, I didn't swear at them by any means. I wasn't swearing at them or anything, but I was just like, okay, well, what you're looking for is something that's out of my wheelhouse. I don't have that capability.
Right.
And I said, also, I would suggest doing a brand discovery experience first to make sure that you have the foundations before you throw money into this. And their response becomes, I don't understand. I'm paying you. And it's like, and my job that I take to heart is educating you.
Yes.
Yes.
And this
people
is
don't
not
wanna
a
be
good fit.
educated.
They don't. No, they don't.
No,
And they also
no.
don't want to hear no.
Right.
They also don't want to hear.
Especially when they're like, I have money, make it happen. It's like, yeah, somebody else can make it happen, but you're not that person right now.
And I'm choosing not to. Could I choose to take that client and say, oh, I'll just hit up Jason and kind of like have him build a team and pay him. Like I'll just let them pay me to pay them. Why? To be a middleman? To not get paid to be a middleman? I mean, like, it just, like, it doesn't make sense. And I just think it's important that, like, business owners understand that it's not always up to the client. It's not always up to the customer to tell you whether or not this is a good fit, to tell you that they have money. Why won't you solve this problem? Well, because the real answer is this isn't the problem you need to solve.
Yes.
And
that's
nobody
where
wants,
it's
like,
at.
and I'm okay being that asshole because I know and have spent way too much time doing things that people gave me their money for. And then they get mad because I didn't fix the problem
it's not
because that wasn't the problem that needed to be fixed.
Wasn't the
Bingo.
problem.
So I'm kind of setting this up for myself as well, knowing that what they want isn't going to solve their problem. So I don't want anything to do with it. Right? Like I don't want
you're
to.
protecting your time and your energy when you say no to somebody.
Your brand,
Yes.
but I more so, I think you're protecting them.
1,000%, but they won't see
don't
it that
see it
way.
like that.
Yeah,
No.
right. And now, granted, I understand the other side of this.
Sure.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've needed a project done for the house that I need a carpenter for or something like that. And I'm like, hey, I need work done. I have the money. Please do it. And they're like, okay, we'll get around to it. And then I never get a call back or anything like that. It's like, well, that's shitty. That's like that's bad management. That's bad business. What you're doing, and I think clients need to understand it more, is that you are literally protecting them from just throwing money at something that is, it's not even a Band-Aid. It's wet toilet paper to cover a wound that they need surgery for.
And you're like, go to the ER. And they're like, no,
right.
give me a Band-Aid. Yeah. So
I'm fine.
It's just a scratch.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think there's such a pressure as a business owner to do right by our clients. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing right by our clients, but we should also be doing right by ourselves.
Yes.
It's a hard realization to get to.
And I think that comes with experience being in business for so long.
For sure.
Because I would have never turned anyone away year 1 through 5. But after I burnt out a little bit, then I'm like, then I became more selective. I'm like, no, I don't want to do X. No, I can't do Y. Here's somebody that can, like as gentle as possible,
I will always recommend someone else. I will always.
Same.
And that's something else about being good with other people, is knowing that, just like with you.
Community
we just did this,
over
by the way.
competition.
Yeah, community over competition.
Love that.
Because I know we can't do what they need. I can try.
You also knew what she needed before you could give her what she needed from you.
Yes.
That's our job.
Right.
People don't know our job description. Honestly, half of business owners don't even realize their real true role. And what you just said is our real true role. Our real true role is knowing that they need something else before we can give them what they want, and helping them get it. Not just saying...
And helping them, yeah.
Yeah, and helping them get that.
Even just guiding. Be
1000%.
Like, look, we can't do this. Here's someone who possibly can. We trust them. Go check it out. Or,
Absolutely.
if you don't know, good luck. But we'll be here at the after part.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to fuck up someone's whole future.
Well, yeah, and if you don't have someone to refer them to, the chances of them actually coming back to you after they go do the thing are much smaller.
Why would they?
Like much smaller.
Oh, I
When
can't
you
tell
keep it in a network of people that know each other and talk to each other and support each other, those people are going to come back. Like, Jess is going to come back right back around to you guys, and she's going to be...
Well, and we're stoked for it.
She's going to be doing cartwheels all the way here, you know?
Probably physically, like literally. I want to wrap this up with like one more thing. And granted, people out there listening, you listening. I don't want to say people, because like I hate when people say, "What's up, guys?" on like YouTube all the time. Okay. Don't talk to everybody else. Talk to me. I'm special, goddammit. I don't know why this has been in my mind for the last couple of weeks.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. There is so much that goes into this. There are, like, we touched on, 3 things of a probably litany of 100 or 200 things that actually goes into this. That's not to scare you. That's to say there's more to it than this. And literally, just like Jessi was saying, the more we go down that rabbit hole, the more we honestly understand who we are, what we offer, what we can do, and how we can make other people's lives really better. But it'll also explain who we are, what we offer, what we do, rather than just for someone else. And once we start understanding that, holy shit, does this become easy? There has never been a single day where I thought, what the hell am I going to make a video about? I have a Google Doc that is something like 90 pages long of just bullet point ideas. And whenever I just go through here, I'm like, well, that's not on brand for us. It was a cool idea, but not on brand. This shit will just flood to you to do stuff. Taking into the account that there is a metric shit ton of more things they need to worry about, what else would you advise someone to take home today, to take home this week, like put into plan this week? What would you ask for them?
You're right. There really is so much. And before I answer that, I think it's important to just recognize that everything is all about the details, right? Everything is all about the puzzle pieces and how they fit together. Even if you feel like what you've got is close, right, but it's not what it is, put the pieces back in the box, shake up the box, and redump the pieces. Just look at it from a different angle.
Okay.
Or change your light, or change your scenery, or change, just change
it sounds
something.
Silly, but that's dead on. That's dead on. I can't tell you how many times I play like a Scrabble game on my phone, and if you just rearrange the letters, you're like, I see 10 more words.
Absolutely.
But literally, like going out for a walk, getting your brain out, change the scenery.
Drive your car. That's what does it for me.
Oh, is it really?
I have the clearest brain in the car. It's awful.
Okay, so what is the one thing that could be helpful to somebody that they can put into use today?
Yeah, so it's actually perfect because I actually built this worksheet. It's a worksheet that you can actually download on my website that will actually, it'll give you a couple questions. That is something that you can take now tangibly. You got to do the work because you can't have the end result if you're not going to do the work. But you can have that, keep that near you for all of your business decisions. And you'll really start to find clarity along the way. And don't be afraid to change things along the way. Because if something isn't working, don't stick with the bad boyfriend if it's not working out, right? Don't stick with what's not working, but be hyper aware of what is working and what's not. And having a metric, like having a tangible thing to come back to, is the best way to clarify that.
Awesome.
So it's called 5 Steps to Clarifying Your Brand. Get it on my website.
And we're going to have the link down below.
You can get it on my website. It's fabulous. Pun intended.
And now, for the podcast listeners out there, what is your website?
My website is www.thiswaytofabulous.com.
On that note, Jessi, if someone wanted to reach out to you, pick your brain, talk to you, or actually get to work with you because they'd be silly not to, how can they reach you? What are the different platforms and ways they can reach you?
Yeah, so I do have a contact page that has a form on it. My social medias, I'll take them there as well. I'm a big believer in really kind of funneling all of communication to one place. I hang out the most on Instagram, but if you have questions or you're interested in seeing what might be next for you, definitely doing the contact form on my website.
Cool. Make sure you do it.
I'm going to do it, for sure.
I already did it.
Oh, shit.
No,
Sorry.
yeah.
No, you didn't.
No, of course I didn't.
Okay.
I saw you in my
do it.
inbox this morning. You
Yeah.
downloaded a lead magnet this morning. I saw you.
Totally did. I forgot I totally did.
Oh, wow.
I go, oh, he's prepping. Look at him.
I didn't download anything, but I saw the sign up and I was like, I know what this is for.
I saw it.
I was in your inbox this morning, slipping into the inbox.
I thought, maybe that's part of the experience. He wants me to know he's thinking about me before I get there. That's weird.
That actually was what I was thinking because I knew you'd get an email.
Hey, but that's all part of the experience.
That is.
When you're building your core values and what's important to you, experiences are everything. People remember experiences more than they remember a logo or your colors or whatever your fucking product is. Experience trumps product every day of the week.
Which brings up a good topic that you guys should pay attention to in our next episode about how you can use all this for your marketing. Stay tuned and click right here.
I haven't gotten that good yet with knowing where I'm pointing and they'll
No, he's
and subscribe.